Due to health reasons, I could not make a new video. But I had this one that I initially didn't want to release, but I figured at least it's a video and perhaps there is still something to learn, although it's not very techy. And this explains the mistimed Halloween theme. But us SFX guys always say every day is Halloween. So consider this a fluff filler, and there may be some more fluff fillers until I have my heart fixed. Welcome to Careless Coder. It's almost Halloween. So why not take some cheap ass skulls and turn them into nice, gory, good looking tiny skulls. By the way, this is a spitting image of my ex-wife after she came complaining about the alimony. Motherfucker! Oh, I loved how the judge believed it was just an accident, a little gasoline and a static electric discharge. Hi, you know this guy. He featured in the opening skit of the Dynamite Stick episode. Between you and me, it was actually my brother-in-law. After he started to complain that I had to pay his sister's alimony. But I can't have this on display because people would get the suspicious right. So I figured, it's September. The stores are filled with cheap ass ugly skulls. 3 for $1, so let's turn him into a miniature version. But we will do that with some wireless LEDs and an inductive phone charger, which will give something for free that the standard circuit doesn't do. And the standard circuit is really easy to make, and if you want to do what this does, you just create an oscillator with a microcontroller and you do the magic in the microcontroller, couple of dollars and you're there. But I have a couple of these laying around anyway, so let's use them. And let's turn this ugly bitch into something more representable. Talking about ugly bitch, she looks exactly like my ex-wife after she started to complain about alimony. First we need to go all Jeffrey Dahmer on this skull's ass, so we can dispose of so that we can get to the back to burn some holes in the eyes to put these wireless LEDs behind it. And these just work by oscillating electromagnetic field at 220 kilohertz. And here we burn that hole into the eye socket. Don't put a soldering iron into your eye. There we go. And let's stick some of these LEDs behind it using UV cure resin. And wipe off your soldering iron because this stinks. Just as much as the chemicals of Jeffrey Dahmer. I widen some of the orifices with an X-Acto knife. There we go. So that at least the LED part fits behind it. Now, unfortunately my hands are in the way, but I create a dollop of this UV resin, put the LED in there and then just cure the resin until it's stuck. So here they are nicely stuck between the eyes. It looks good. Now I just glue the parts together with some CA glue. And this doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to put fake skin over there, so it will hide the crimes. Now the problem with this plastic is it's so slippery that you need to rough it up in order to even have primer stick to it. So just some 1200 grit sandpaper and a nice coat of primer. After the primer is dry, we create a nice little off-white and we just slobber it on. And this doesn't need to be pretty, it's just an undercoat. In case something shines through, you will see this color. So while that is drying, we will get a paper tissue, and boy, this brings back memories to my childhood. And we take a single ply. And we don't want any of these straight edges. Nothing in nature is straight. Straight doesn't exist. So I got my woke brown nose virtue signaling points in. And let's get tearing. We want this torn up before we actually start because our hands will be very sticky. That usually happens when you work with tissues. So I got a pile of torn up tissues. This way Mom doesn't know what I've been doing in my bedroom. And let's apply this to the skull. We're creating some fake skin. So I spray some man milk on a little plate, aka latex, and latex is the SFX world's secret ingredient. We use it a lot. And you can also get smaller bottles than this. So I spread out all my paper pieces because man milk, latex is very sticky. And latex, just like man milk, is just a natural product. Some people can be allergic to it, so first test it before you use it on your skin. So these little paper pieces I put over the skull, and just with a little sponge I just dab them in place. And yeah, there you go. It's really, really sticky, like I said. It brings back so many memories, tissues and stickiness, and yeah. And this way we cover the whole skull. With some tweezers I poke a few little holes in the latex tissue skin. And that looks a bit more like tendons. And every now and then I just let it dry, because if you continue it really gets sticky. Now I'm working on the mouth area again, creating a few little tendons with some tweezers. That's just experience of fiddling around. Because this stuff is very, very stretchy. And that gives it a nice little tendon look that makes it really gory. It's just a matter of time and playing around. So one tiny little layer and we just let it cure. And you can see it's getting a bit more yellow. And now we start the paint. And the paint is all about layers. We start with a nice, very light, fleshy pink. That is the first undercoat. And we just paint it all over, except for the teeth and the eyes. I don't put any paint in the eye sockets until I've tested the LEDs. It is important to let it semi-cure, not completely cure. So we put it down and then we start on the next layer. And that next layer is some dry brushed black, which will simulate the charred flesh. Don't really go overboard, but 3 bristles and a lot of air and just the high spots. And every now and then I use my finger to tap it out to get a bigger smudged, scorched place. And then we continue with a red and brown, which I stipple on and blotch with my fingers. And that is more the burned flesh. So don't go all over it, because we want these different layers to shine through. And you can already see the dimension that we're getting with the black, the pink and the dark red brownish color. It's really cool. Cool in a psychopathic sense of the word, of course. So here we have all those layers. We have the pinkish, we have the dark brown red, we have the black, the yellow from the latex, and that base coat that we put down. It really looks like a charred skull. And you could stop here, but there is an extra ingredient we want to add. Dark blood. This is alcohol activated blood. It's really expensive, so you don't need to do it, but I love what this does. It gives it this wet look. Since this is alcohol activated blood, I can lock it into a glossy varnish and it will stay wet. It will look wet for a very, very, very long time. Now look at that. That looks like a charred, bloody skin. And I consciously hit it with a gloss lacquer, so it will lock in that blood and it makes it look really gooey and wet. Yeah, this definitely gets my psychopath juices flowing. Look at that. Awesome. The teeth, and yeah, I like it. So now test out the LEDs. We put it on our inductive charger and look at that. The eyes are actually flashing, because that is the secret that these chargers give. They pulse charge your phone. Your standard charging circuit will actually light up these LEDs continuously, and I like this that you get for free with these nice little cheap charger ports. Look at that. So now we know where the light is, so let's add some color in the sockets. I darkened the sockets of the eyes with a mixture of red and brown, and look at that. Awesome, it's done. So there you have it. We bought 3 ugly skulls for $1 from the pound store. She does remind me of my ex-wife, honestly. and turn them into a nice little gory prop using inductive LEDs and your standard phone charger circuit. Now, like I said, you can easily create the behavior of this with an Arduino. Just have the Arduino poles in 220 kilohertz on and off, and then that routine that does that on and off oscillation, you turn that on and off in an outer loop and you have the same behavior as these. But these are 15 euros a piece. I can't even spend that time creating it for that kind of money. I have 3 laying around, one right next to my bed, this one here on my desk, and one in the car. I adore these inductive chargers, but not as much as I love gory props. I love the reaction that people give you when they see this stuff in your Christmas tree, like, dude, that's just insane. Other stuff that I have hanging in my Christmas tree are chopped up fingers, a gory little fleshy eye, and there is another gory little fleshy eye. Yeah, people think I'm sick, and maybe I am. But at least I hope you learned something, and that you create your own little gory props for Halloween, and I will see you in the next one.